Hello, I'm Marc, Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and this is a special series during this COVID crisis where we'll be sharing the learnings, best practices, and failures and successes of all the channel leaders throughout the tech industry. So sit back, listen, and enjoy. Hello, I'm Marc Sumner, host of the Channel Chat podcast show, and today I have Mike Chambers and Perry Roach, the CEO and the regional sales manager from Netsweeper, in the house. How are we doing, guys?
Good morning.
Very well, thanks. Good morning.
Good. First of all, Perry, thanks for getting up at 5 a.m. to do this show. That is definitely commitment from you over there. How's things over in Canada?
Well, thank you very much. They're very well, and we have not missed a beat with COVID. 100% of our employees are working remotely, and our customers are being served 100%.
Perfect. So, in fact, let's just kick off straight there with it. So, as a technology, I'm guessing that you've adapted fairly well, when maybe some of your guys were working remotely anyway. But could you, Perry, give us a sort of an overview of how you've sort of coped with, being forced to work remotely?
Yes, of course. So the first thing I did is I did a bunch of reading on what we should be doing. And the first thing that came to mind was a continuity plan. So I reviewed a lot of websites, talked to a lot of people. Our community in Canada, we had a bunch of CEOs, 80 of us, got together on a Zoom call, and we just started talking. And we've been doing that once a week with 80 CEOs in the Waterloo, Ontario, Canada region. So we put together a continuity plan. First thing was to call your customers. Make sure they understand that you're still working, everybody's supporting their product, making sure that they understand that we're alive and well and kicking, and we won't skip a beat. Second was your team, of course, not to be putting them in a second place. But the other thing we did was a continuity plan with the team. So right now, it's actually turned out quite well. We have a daily call, and I pick a theme, and it's all over the map, but we basically communicate with each other. This is also the time that I offered the team to take a course, an online course. Utilize your time in a productive way. Keep busy. Take care of yourself, of course. Number one, don't get sick. Make sure your family is well. So these are just some of the highlights that we started off with right out of the gate.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of you mentioned there about speaking to your customers by phone. Did you start adopting, unified communications and video conference calls like this? Did you start doing that with your customers, or was it still just on the phone?
Well, both. Good point. I've never understood why we haven't adopted video conferencing many years ago when it came out, right? We certainly bought licenses for our team over the last 5 years. I think the video conferencing initially was beneficial because you didn't have to pay long distance calls, right? Everybody all of a sudden was able to just push a button and communicate with everybody. I think that was what people saw the value in video calling or IP calling in the beginning. Of course, now, and with COVID and the ability not to see or travel with people, it's just simply been understood that we're going to have a video call.
I think it's. I was going to say, I think it's an interesting time. We're always talking about building relationships with customers. How many kids have they got? What football team they support? Do they have a dog or a cat? This sort of thing. Over the last few months now, we know what wallpaper they have. Have they got an island in their kitchen? Is their dog well behaved or bad behaved? We've seen it ourselves.
And I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a nicer way of doing business as well. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people have been much kinder in this COVID crisis. Not just being supportive in actually thinking, people have got their challenges from home, but actually nicer to deal with. If they've got connection errors or someone can't get on in time, etc., etc. Where normally, if someone turned up for a meeting face to face, you'd be like, they're wasting my time. And I think that's a nicer way of doing it. Do you think, just on that topic about unified communications, what I have noticed is unified communications doesn't seem that unified though. So, i.e., I've got people sort of doing Microsoft Teams, and I've got another company doing sort of Zoom, and internally as well. So that actually it's not ubiquitous throughout the company. I've actually got people using different technologies and vendors. How have you seen any of your customers sort of having challenges around? There's one thing having access to Zoom or access to 8x8, but I don't know about you guys, but knowing how to use it, knowing how to use the full capabilities of it, it's been a real challenge for some of our customers. Has any of your sort of customers dealt with actually sort of challenges in terms of logging on and collaborating over video?
Well, it is an interesting way to trial, 5, 6, 7 products in one day, isn't it? Like you said, there's definitely products that are easier to log on, push of a button, and then definitely not. What I find interesting as the CEO of the company, the guy that has to write the checks, is how we're moving to the lower cost, if not zero cost solutions, where we were paying tens of thousands of dollars for everybody to have a paid for solution. But yes, some are easier, some are one push, one button, they have it right down, and others are loading this and loading that. And yes, they do have challenges, especially internationally. Some of the African countries we deal with, they really challenge with the connections not being 100%. So they just can't get on or have issues.
Let's move on to sort of security in general. Now, unified communications, having these sort of tools and these conference calls and these video calls has provided another threat. There's ransomware. There's people can't get into their data centers. There's real security issues around security in general, and also as well, some people are using these unified communication tools. They haven't used them before, and they don't know if they're secure or not. I know that some of these unified communication tools, some are more sort of secure than other. So in general, where are you seeing it from a sort of security point of view, and also as well where your product maybe comes into that Netsweeper?
Well, thanks. I'll take the first one. The number one reason that viruses or hacking gets into a network is usually from a human being clicking a site that is actually a phishing site or has a virus on it. So that is a web-based situation. Before, it used to be I stuck my dongle in my computer and it infected it. Today, everything is web-based. So as we leave our offices, we feel a little more free, don't we, when it comes to what we're doing and where we're going, and we get a lot of emails and email distractions, and people automatically click on a lot of things. And what Netsweeper does is we look at the internet and security as a layered approach. Everybody needs a firewall, and there are 1,000 firewalls. There are other switches and other type of networking solutions. But what we offer is the content side. If you have a link that has a virus on it, Netsweeper will block that if it has a virus on it. So you don't even get a chance to get to that link that has the virus on it that infects your computer, that then is connected to your network, that infects the network, and then infects other people's networks. The second thing that we see about the whole internet and at home is distractions. We have a video that you go to at netsweeper.com where you've got the fridge, you've got the radio, you've got all like 100 different websites you can go to. So with Netsweeper, we allow you to enforce the HR policy while you're on the company network, and really, really drill down and dial in, as we say in the development world, into getting your stuff done. And then, believe it or not, child exploitation has gone through the roof. More people around the world are on the net than ever before. So you certainly want to block that kind of activity while you're on the company time and the company network.
Can you actually block it out in terms of actual times during the day? Facebook, they can't go on between 9 and 12, but between 12 and 1 they can access it. Can you actually time frame it?
Absolutely. That's built right into our system. Yes.
Right. Okay, fine. And also as well, you can actually name any site you don't want to do it. So it could be like gambling sites, that you can't get access to that, or porn sites, you can't get access to that. So you can actually sort of do genres of sites as well.
Correct. We have 92 categories, and essentially between 9 and noon, you could apply the human resource policies. You can take the hour off at lunch, do your banking, do your online shopping, surf sports, surf whatever you'd like. And then from 1 to 4 or 4:30, we can apply the the company policy and the HR policies.
Okay, and if I come to both of you with this question, so there's going to be lots of companies are worried about COVID, and that's taken over the whole sort of thinking at the moment. But unfortunately, these security threats, they don't stop. They continue all the time. What are you seeing from a customer's perspective in terms of what they're really concerned about now? Now they're sort of guys are forced to work from home, but they're still getting these security threats coming all over the place. Are you sort of seeing any sort of trends or things in general that are happening? So, Mike, if I come to you with that first.
Yeah, I mean, I think, frankly, a lot of this stuff, certainly successful phishing attacks and stuff like this, comes down to the human condition. So if you're sitting in an office and you get an email through from a new CFO with really bad grammar that asks you to go out and buy a load of Amazon gift cards and scratch them at lunchtime and then send in the codes and stuff like this, you can talk to the guys that sit around with you. And you can say, I never knew we had a new CFO. This email looks a bit strange. What do you think about this? Have a look at this, blah, blah, blah. If you're sitting at home, you're a little bit removed from that. You can't speak to your colleagues so easily. You don't maybe want to forward over the email and stuff like this. So I think, we all know about interrogating email, endpoint security, stuff like this. There will always be something that comes through, and there will always be, a human being that kind of clicks on that email and something bad happens. So I think we're seeing a lot of organizations very much concerned about things like malware, certainly phishing attacks, and worried that people maybe working from home are a little bit more lax about what they click on and what they won't click on. So we're very much addressing that and hearing that from a lot of our customers. Absolutely.
Yes.
What about you, Barry? What are you seeing? Anything different from that?
No, it's actually exactly what Mike said. We are seeing the fact of people trying to get into things that they normally would have, not looking at the email thread and checking out the address because it's usually, kind of costumed. It's not what it seems it is. And attachments, right? Attachments are the worst. So anything that goes to the web, everything is web-based today, we touch. And, this is the World Wide Web. The web is not about England. The web is not about the EU. The web is the www. So how the heck does an IT manager have their tentacles out the entire wide world web? I mean, if you go to netsweeper.com live stats, we find 130 million new websites a day. So it's phenomenal how it's happening.
Yeah, unbelievable. Let's talk about the channel in general. Now, the channel in the UK, I'm not sure about the worldwide, but the channel in the UK I think, has performed phenomenally. They've really come together. They've really collaborated. They've really kept businesses going. I think they've done. The NHS have done a fantastic job, but the channel in general has done brilliant. Now, I know Netsweeper have done direct, and you've used partners, but you're also now going into a more traditional channel model into the UK. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Essentially, Netsweeper for 21 years has been servicing the education market in the UK, and we've done a great job. And really, the reason we've done a great job is we have a carrier grade solution, and we can. The networks have gone. I remember our first network, London Grid for Learning, had 100 megs. Now they're going to 300 gigs. So that's a telco. That's a telecommunication company. That's an ISP. So it's very difficult for software companies to service those. What Netsweeper has done recently is over the last 2.5 years, we've really perfected and managed a cloud solution. So we are ultra ready now to go into a cloud distribution method in the enterprise and public sector. So this is the main reason why we're moving over to the distribution network, the distribution partnership process, because we are cloud ready more than ever before, and we are ready for that enterprise market.
Fantastic. And Mike, is there anything from you? Obviously you've worked in the UK for a long time. You've been in channel for a long time. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we all know and we understand, there's a fantastic channel in the UK. There's a fantastic channel ecosystem. End user organizations like to speak to their account manager. They rely on their account manager for new technology and all this sort of thing. And often, the job of a reseller and also, a value added distributor is to bring new products to market and discuss them with end users, talk about new things that the end user may not have time to research, may not want to research, and to recommend something that's best of breed and stuff like this. So we really, really want to, utilize those channel partnerships. And things are opening up more than they ever were. Not that many years ago, there were a few big resellers and a number of kind of, I guess, slightly more boutique reseller stroke services partners, this sort of thing. Nowadays, with MSP opening up, it's enormous. You can set yourself up as an MSP, and you can be in business with a good number of customers, servicing them on a monthly basis. Within a few weeks, quite frankly, there's not that many barriers to entry. There's, you don't have to have an enormous great kind of credit behind you and stuff like this. And yeah, absolutely. We want to be part of that and add value to their solutions as well.
Great. And the last question for you guys, as I said, I'm not asking you to be the World Health Organization secretary or anything like that, but I am interested in what you're seeing from your customers and your own gut feeling of yourself. Of when do you sort of see, if there is a back to normal? I don't know if there is going to be now, but when do you see things getting back to sort of normality and maybe getting back in those offices and collaborating with your teams?
Well, unfortunately, I don't think it'll ever be the same for a long time until there's a vaccine or until, we get a handle on this. But at the end of the day, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that we understand the value of remote learning and remote working. So in the education space, we have to prepare ourselves for remote learning, being able to learn anywhere, anytime. And for the last, 10 years, I've been in what we call our begging mode in a sales position to say, hey guys, this is great. We need to allow a pupil to learn underneath their covers at 10 at night on a Saturday night, but we have to be a duty of care and make sure they're safe and whatever. It's the same with, our companies and learning and working remotely from wherever you are. From a telecommunication standpoint, they have seen tremendous volumes of network increase. So where they purchased products and services that would only do X amount of gigs, they're X times 2, X times 3. So they're scrambling. So that'll normalize eventually. But when it comes to understanding the psychological situations that we're in, the fact that will I go to this place in a crowd? Will I want to go back to work until it's safe? These are challenges that both our team, senior team, and I'm sure our customers' teams are really struggling with right now. What's it going to look like? You ask a restaurant to half the size of their customers and double the amount of space, you're assuming that restaurant made money before. Now you're going to say with half the customers, I'm going to be able to do that. There's a lot of challenges up in the air right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly from a channel point of view, it's going to change. I think what people focus on. For example, desktops to laptops. How many departmental printers are going to be sold over the next few months? This kind of thing. So all that sort of stuff. Warehouses empty, warehouses full of the wrong stuff, credit insurance, all this kind of exciting stuff. So it's going to be an interesting ramp up, I hope. Looking forward. But yeah, there's certainly going to be a good number of challenges, and I'm not convinced that, like as I'm sure many people are, that anything's ever going to be the same again for lots of different reasons.
Yeah, it's in summary to what you said, Perry, as well. There, I'm so on agreement with you and on the learning. People, I think now, learning providers were, coming up doing classroom training, etc. And people just don't want to do that now. It's got to be more on demand. They want to be doing it while they're cooking, or they want to be doing it while on their run, or they want to be doing it one, Saturday night or Sunday morning, wherever they want to do it. But they want to be doing it on their own time and their own way of learning. So I'm with you. Am I excited about it? I think the world is going to be changing forever. I'm not sure that we will totally go back to working in offices completely. I think it just will be a bit more of a hybrid of the two. There'll be lots of collaboration in offices, but I think people will be doing lots more stuff at home, and there'll be a more of a self-learning way of doing things rather than just saying, actually, we'll get some classroom training as well. So hopefully it'll be positive. Guys, you've been great guests. So that's the end of the show. So
thanks for joining us and listening to another episode of our Channel Chat podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and are listening on iTunes, please could you give us a review and subscribe in order to get the newest episodes as soon as they're released. Otherwise, as always, we release an episode every Thursday at midday, so hopefully you can join us then.